Well, good morning, everyone. Here we are, April 19th, Tuesday, and we have a very special guest this morning. We have Miss Carla Hicks, Vice President of Member Services with the International Code Council, a fierce woman in her own right. She does a lot of work, puts groups together. I like to say she's kind of the glue that bonds everything. She recently just created a group on LinkedIn to just kind of keep everybody up in the know, pushes out the training opportunities, kind of lets everybody know, hey, get involved here and there. So with that, welcome, Ms. Carla. How are you?
Oh, I am doing well. I'm excited about this.
Good, good. We are too. We are too. A lot of the times, Pete and I always have these conversations about, okay, we want to really understand kind of the ins and outs of how certain organizations work. And for us, ICC has always been one of those where we've always known a little bit of ICC here and there as far as, certifications and trainings and things like that. I myself grew up, so to speak, with ICC, when it used to be the Uniform Building Codes and things like that, and then merged over into the International Code Council. But we like to also look at the different aspects of what ICC brings. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a native Alabamian. I've lived here pretty much my whole life. I uh, grew up just outside a really small town, a couple of thousand people, and then moved to Birmingham, the world's largest small town, and have lived here most of my adult life. So my husband and I are empty nesters right now. The children are in college, and I'm very proud of them. My son's studying to be an engineer, so hopefully he'll get to know the codes very soon as well. So
That's
my
awesome.
daughter's going to be an archaeologist, so she can dig up the buildings that fell down, and then Dylan can make sure that none of the other ones do. So
I love that. I love that. So, growing up, and you know what? They have a resource right there with them, right?
that's right.
So that's really, really great. So how long? Tell us a little bit about your tenure with ICC. How long have you been in this role of vice president of member services? Um, what kind of drew you to the International Code Council? Um, and what do you find most enjoyable?
Wow, a lot of questions. I have been with International Code Council since day one. I moved from the legacy organization. I was doing publications there, and then I moved to the International Code Council. They asked me to pick up the membership management, and I did that. And then when the vice president of member services left, I moved into his position. So I have been here since birth. Uh, and so that was an interesting thing. Let's see, what else did she ask me? What I like most is that's an easy question. That is talking to the members because I'll be sitting here pulling my hair out about budgets or trying to put a PowerPoint together or something, and the phone will ring, and I'll see it's Izzy from Kansas or Pete from California or Tana Bryant, who's also with ACE, who works in Anniston, Alabama, not far from here. It's just I, I just love talking to the members. I love working with the members. And it's just such a great group of people. I don't know anybody who works at a place where their customers are as appreciative as our guys are. So I do love that.
And for you guys that don't know Carla, so there is about 60 to 65,000 members at ICC at any given time.
Mhm.
So Carla does get the bulk of the emails. I've sent her a couple here and there, and she's very quick to respond. So with Carla, one thing I know, she also runs the annual reports for the chapter. So I
Mhm.
I guarantee you, what April, what's the deadline? March? Was it March? March
Yeah, it
15th.
was March 15th, but we were having some IT issues, so I've tacked a couple of weeks on for everybody. But you guys are volunteers. We'll make it work. If you haven't turned your annual report in and you're part of a chapter, don't give up. Go ahead and turn it in. We'll make it work.
Yeah. So my point was that on the 14th, it's like tax day, the day
Yeah.
before. Everybody's calling Carla. Hey, Carla, I need this. And,
You're
she's
right.
like, I'm working on a PowerPoint. Hold on. But I can see how busy it gets, and you know what? Seeing how interactive the staff at ICC is, not only Carla, but just in general, behind the scenes, people don't realize how hard working the staff is at ICC. You know, I love kind of showcasing back in 2017. You won the William is it Tangy
Oh
Award?
yeah, the Tangy Award. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Um,
that was for just meritorious service to ICC. And my interactions with Carla, I can tell you, back in 2019 in California, we wanted to set our first our first statewide code enforcement chapter for ICC in California, and Carla was very instrumental. I know I kept bugging her like almost daily, and you know what? She just boom, she just kind of guided us through, and we were able to form the first chapter in California for code enforcement officials. Which gives our state colleagues another resource to get more training, to get more certifications. It's just one of those things where there's more opportunity if you look and you find the right people like Carla to assist you in getting that done. So thank you for that, Carla.
Oh, you were great to work with. I never mind answering questions, and it keeps me on my toes because I realize where I need to make my communications better. And yeah, having someone too involved, there's no such thing. So yeah, that was a lot of fun helping put that chapter together. Um, we have a lot of code enforcement chapters. What was I telling you earlier? 21 chapters
21
in,
chapters of
yeah,
code enforcement. Yeah.
yeah. And uh, they are some of our most dedicated chapters, dedicated members. I was telling you earlier that it's been a few years now. I forget, there are things that happened before COVID that sort of all run together. But the last code enforcement meeting I think I was at was the Florida Association of Code Enforcement, and that was eye opening. I helped run a booth there, so I was watching people come in and out and listening to all the different things they were learning and the things that they had to face, and it was an amazing experience.
Yeah. So yeah, you have Rachel Patterson saying, "Wow, 21 chapters. That is awesome. It is awesome. That's a lot of
Yeah.
chapters." You know, and and there's so many there's 396 chapters of just in general, and
Mhm.
some have to do with permit tax, some plumbing, women in construction,
Right.
code enforcement. So there's building officials, building inspectors. There,
Fire, mechanical, plumbing, the whole bit. Yep.
yeah, there's a home for everybody, and you can't limit. A lot of people think that you can't join more than one chapter. Because sometimes you have your local chapter and you have your
Mhm.
regional chapter, and you have your specialty chapter. So
Yeah, yeah. You have
yeah,
state chapters, professional chapters. So even if you're not working for a city or whatever, there are chapters for architects. There are chapters for um, just general people in a particular area who like talking to each other and get something out of being together as a professional chapter that works. It's we try to make a home for everyone who is excited about building codes. And there's a lot of people out there who are excited about building codes. If you don't believe me, go to a public comment hearing. You'll figure that out really quickly.
yeah. So Cecilia is a self-proclaimed code nerd. So I don't say self-proclaimed because I did peg her as a code nerd. So so if you look behind, I don't know if she's got her book. Let me see, move your head. Oh yeah, there you go. So look at all those
Oh
cool
yeah.
books back
My
there.
books. Yes,
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of connecting with Glenn Matheson some time ago, and he was kind enough to send me over some older codes. I'm a collector of older codes, so I have
Mhm.
the first code, the older codes, the housing codes. I'm a collector of codes. I don't know that my husband is as thrilled as I am about collecting old codes. Okay, he doesn't always have to understand my crazy, but yes, I like to see how our codes have evolved throughout
Mhm.
the years. I also like to see how we have evolved and as professionals in this industry, based on the new things that come into play as far as our careers, as far as what we're doing out there in the built environment. Um, but in addition, I really enjoy seeing all the support that we have, because again, when you're starting out in with the International Code Council, or previous to that, going through and getting your certifications, you always kind of knew where to find training, but you didn't really understand like the full gamut of what happens behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Really diving into it now. I know that you put together last year's chapter leadership academy. That was awesome. And
Mhm.
that gives an opportunity for all chapters to come together and hear from presenters and just really have that supportive factor that goes along with, providing something back to the chapter, which I think is so fundamental. But, Carla, in regards to the support that you provide for the chapters, what other resources do you think are, really fundamental for those that are looking to perhaps join a
Mhm.
chapter or form a chapter?
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to being a chapter. The big one that most people use and find the most valuable is for everyone who remains an active chapter, and I'll explain that in a second. You get a chapter education benefit day for the next year. So all you have to do is turn in your annual report. We just want to know you're still out there. We want to know who your newest officers are, so we can stay in touch with you. So it takes a few minutes to do the annual report, and then you get a chapter education benefit day for the next year, and you get a complimentary registration for your president for the annual conference. And if you can't go to the annual conference, that's fine. You can actually donate that registration to another chapter leader, or you can change it to free travel and attendance at our chapter leadership academy, because we're going live again. Yay, we're going live again this summer in June.
That is
We're going to Broomfield, Colorado, and it's June 13th, 14th, and 15th. You travel out on the 13th. We have stuff all day on the 14th and about half day on the 15th, and then you travel back on the 15th. And it's just one of my favorite meetings all year long. It's such a great group of people, and we're hoping we'd gotten it up to about 75 or 80 attendees before COVID shut everything down. So we're hoping to see at least that many again. We'd love that.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's really awesome. I think it's going to be really great to have everybody back together live. I know that we just had our Women Leaders in Code Symposium just a couple of weeks ago, and it was so nice to just be in a room with other women and fellow industry professionals, and just kind of share some space, and Pete and some of our male counterparts that attended the event. It was just really nice. I mean, the camaraderie, right? That
Hmm.
get that you feel, that comfort that you feel from being in a space with other professionals, just kind of
Hmm.
seeing them again, staring at them in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without the need of a virtual screen. It was just really nice to have that. So it's so good to hear that we're moving in that direction, and I think that there's going to still be some element of working in a hybrid option, if you will.
Hmm.
But for the most part, just having the opportunity to do that in a live platform would be great. Um,
Yeah, we're looking at different ways to bring in people who can't get there, but we'll see how we can manage. We learned a lot these last couple of years, and we don't want to just say, oh well, everything's back to the way that used to be, and we're not going to worry about any of the things that we learned how to do. Um, but we also understand that yes, this
yeah.
is where definitely where I get my energy from. I don't know what kind of personality type that makes me, but I'm I get my energy and my ideas from collaborating with other people, and so yeah, I love these meetings.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. And to that point also, I have the pleasure, Carla. You just mentioned accessibility to opportunities and training, and I have the direct pleasure of working with some chapters and organizations nationwide as a trainer myself. And I got to tell you that every single training that I've done so far up to this point has been some sort of form of hybrid training, where we're streaming and or we're live, and just the opportunity to do that is really great, because I think that you're really tapping into the direct care and need of that member. If you can't make it here, no worries. We're going to figure it out, and we'll see how we can get you there. And I really value that a lot. And I feel like that's one of the strong suits for ICC, is always really thinking membership first. What do our members need? How can we make this work so that we can get it done?
Yeah, I may pick your brain about that later. I may give you a call. I,
Absolutely.
yeah, don't tell me you know how to do something, because I'll steal it from you, buddy. I have no qualms about that whatsoever.
Sharing is caring. You call me. We'll have a nice little chat.
Yeah, we have a running joke is that I don't do AV, and I do AV. I just have a lot of PTSD about it dating back to high school. But you just have to set that aside and do it, and that has it. Yeah, the last couple of years has really brought me out of my comfort zone as far as learning Zoom and Facebook Live and Teams and all that stuff. So yeah.
I couldn't agree more with that. And my motto this year has, if you don't have AV, get yourself a Pete. He is the master AV guy, and I got to tell you, yes, I worked through a lot on my own, and like you, Carla, I had to come out of my comfort zone, and I truly do consider myself blessed for having friends like Pete and other industry professionals that really have come to my aid and said, okay, let's figure this out. And so big shout out to them. You know who you are. Thank you so much for being there and assisting us in that. But yeah, let's definitely have a conversation, and more than happy to share some thoughts on that.
Well,
Awesome.
one of the things I realized, AV is not easy. So props to everybody that does AV out there, because I stayed up till 1 a.m. with Elisa Vargas, who we're giving a shout out to. She stayed up till 1 a.m. getting us squared away, and you know what, we were ready for showtime, because it's hard, especially when you have a hybrid and you want the hybrid people to talk on screen while you're live casting to everybody. It is so difficult. Most of the stuff I learned on YouTube.
Yeah.
we're on a budget, so we have to do what we have to do. But just even just in general, talking about that, I'm gonna and we'll talk about your different roles, VP of Membership Services. I one of your key roles, and the way I ended up talking to you was, we reached out because in California, we felt a need that we wanted to supplement some of our training. We wanted to kind of grow and get a different perspective on the building side. So, in talking to our government relations person in California, Susan Dowdy, she was like, hey, the best person to reach out to, you got to reach out to Carla Higgs. And if you guys know Susan Dowdy, she is a super connector. She knows everybody. She's like, talk to Joe Smith from the city of Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, she's amazing. I don't know how she does it, but yeah. I pick Susan's brain quite often as
Yeah,
well.
no, and she's awesome, and she's like, call Carla. She'll give you a run through. I cold call. I cold texted you or cold emailed you, and started our process, and it wasn't an easy process. So the first thing that we did was, we got a lot of the code enforcement supervisors in California and Orange County together, because it's the Orange County chapter of code enforcement. So we got folks like Matt Cozy Lion, who's on the call, who insists on me giving him a shout out. So there you go, Matt. Love you. He's like, hey, where's my shout out? But awesome guy. We talked. There was a real need for us to be more involved as code enforcement officials, because it was important for us, for our staff to grow. We have our state association, and we advocate to join both. Our state association has great training as far as it comes to land use, stuff like that. But when it comes to the IPMC, all the model codes, the IRC, the IFC, the bread and butter of code enforcement, we really have to go to the pros with ICC. So
Hmm.
you know what, you guys are really good about building these codes every couple years. You have hearings, you have this and that, and you know what, we wanted that really good that good training. And we
Hmm.
used our annual voucher to get training, quality training from a national expert. So I mean, kudos to ICC, kudos to the code enforcement chapter. That's one thing that we did. First, we had to form our supervisors, get a good number of people to say yes, we're interested, because it's not, we can't do a chapter of one or two people. So
Yeah.
we need, yeah. So yeah, go ahead, Carla.
No, I was just going to say that, and training is a very symbiotic benefit for ICC and the chapters, because ICC, of course, benefits from all of the chapter members getting to know who we are, learning the codes, getting engaged with what's going on. And you really have to do that at the grassroots level. So the chapters are a huge, huge partnership for ICC. And one training day a year is a small benefit to the benefits that we get from you guys. And one of the things that we have added, I kudos to our training department for so regularly seeing where there's a need and figuring out how to fill it. And one of those was the preferred provider program, because you take a class from us every year, you might get tired of the choices that you have that are specific to you. And you might say, gosh, I wish that, Cecilia worked for ICC, because I sure would love to be able to use her in that class or whatever. Well, you can. You just pick from the preferred providers, and we actually will spot you up to $1,200 reimbursement for the cost of having a preferred provider come to you and give you a different course. So it just vastly expands how much you can uh, glean from ICC, all the benefits you can get from ICC. And chapters can become preferred providers too for a very, very low price. I should have checked it. I think it's $200.
Yeah.
Don't hold me to that, but it was at one point. I think it still is. And virtual offerings are certainly something. Man, the training got people just came up with virtual options after the lockdown so quickly. I could not believe how quickly they moved to that new platform, and we continue to offer those because a lot of people still need them.
And that's so true. One of the things about the preferred provider program that you mentioned is, before we got on the call, we talked about how different the trainings are in different parts of the country. Like in California, we have a lot of massage parlor enforcement training where we wouldn't have hurricane assessment because we don't get
Hmm.
hurricanes. We might have earthquake assessment training. One of the things that I recall was a Tubbs fire up in Cecilia's area. And you know what? Colorado just experienced something like that. And you know what? They
Hmm.
may not have that training to be able to, assess those type of fire damages. You know, the, so it's important to say, hey, these people have that training, or same thing where it becomes a new trend. For example, in California, we have, and on the East Coast, you have a lot of the short-term rental issues. Those type of deals that code enforcement deals with, and now they're new in, let's say, Texas or Memphis or any type of tourist destination that they may not have had that. You can get a preferred provider with an established program in a different state and say, hey, how did you guys do it? What did you guys do? And we all benefit from that network of trainers through the preferred provider program.
Hmm.
And so we recently re-upped the Orange County one. I do believe it's 250 for the virtual and 250 for the live. So and
Hmm.
and I think it's 400 if you do both together. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, so it's 200 each. Yeah, if you do both.
Yeah.
And for all these chapters out there, do both. It's worth it. It's worth it. So
Yeah, it makes it so easy to just say yes. You earn CEUs. You just submit what you're going to teach to ICC. We say yes, you're right. It's worthy of CEUs, and it makes the process so much easier for you and for the people who are attending your classes.
yeah, and ICC learn the folks over there. I think some of them are in Chicago. They are pretty on it. When we submit our stuff, they're pretty on it. So kudos to the Chicago office out there. You guys are
Yeah.
rocking also,
Yeah.
So
I get credit for a lot of the things that Lizette and Ashley and the Learning Center team do in Chicago. So I try to give them credit where credit's due, because I know a lot of people think I just magically make these things happen, and I don't make them happen at all. Someone else does. So.
see,
Yeah.
and that's why we say nobody sees the worker base. You guys are like ants, just just like all over the place. So
I would
Yeah.
agree. I got to say that that they definitely keep me sane, because they connect with me. They're readily accessible to me. If I have any questions, they answer my questions. If they need anything similar to what you spoke about, Carla, about the chapter credits, they'll
Mhm.
call me and say, "Hey, there's been a request," or there's this coming up, or what do you think? And there's such a pleasure for everything that they do. I mean, just even being on our training day Zoom call or WebEx call and doing the multitasking. I mean, those girls are my heroes, because they really
Mhm.
get it. They really
True.
make sure that they make the world turn for us presenters, instructors, so that we can make sure that we're giving quality training to the membership. So
Yeah.
that again, big kudos to them too. I agree with you 100%. They're awesome.
Yeah.
so Carl, I know we're halfway through our interview, which is crazy, huh? It goes by fast, and
Yeah.
we haven't touched. So I'm going to touch on a couple of things, because your role as VP of membership stuff, there's more than that you do than just help people form chapters. There's you do the scholarships, you do the submittal for the awards. So there's kind of quite a lot of stuff that you do. So,
Mhm.
but let's go back to a little bit about forming a chapter. If somebody wanted to form a chapter, let's say, let's say San Diego, California, and I want to form a code enforcement chapter. What would be the first steps that you say would recommend to somebody, that wanted to form a chapter? And I could, chime in with my own experience, but
Mhm.
what's something that you would say? What's the first step one should do?
The first step I would say is to look at the council policy. It's Council Policy 13. It's on our website under About ICC. It says Corporate Governance, and that's where all our council policies are. And again, it's Council Policy. Did I say 13? It's 10. I'm sorry, Council Policy 10. And that just kind of shows the minimum requirements for a chapter, the breakdown of the different chapter types, kind of gives you an idea of whether or not that's a good fit for you. Um, if it is, then contact me at khiggs, KHIGGS, at iccsafe.org. If Rachel's still on, she might put that in for me. I don't know. I don't know how to do the comments from here. But the then I would send you the application information that you need. I would get you a blank application to fill out. We have sample bylaws that you can use if your organization doesn't have a bylaws yet. We have sample resolutions, et cetera, et cetera. Um, Thank you for putting the email address in there. So I have all of that, and I do try to send them out on request, just so I can keep up with who is interested in being a chapter and help follow up and help your government relations person know that that's happening as well, because they really are amazing resources. People like Susan in California can help as well. Um, the big thing that you need to have is there are a minimum number of ICC members that are required within your organization. And that number differs depending on whether you want to be a local chapter, a state chapter, a professional chapter, and the member types differ as well. But all of that is listed in CP10, or I can give you the details of it when you contact me. So I like checking the member roster fairly early on, and that way if that's going to be an obstacle for you. If you Because I will check them. You don't have to worry about checking them all yourself. I will go through your roster for you and see how many ICC members you have, and then we can work with, well, maybe this person didn't know that their membership lapsed. We can get them back on, et cetera, and that helps you not get a surprise at the end of the application process. The rest of it, if you're already an organization and you're already meeting, you probably have a lot of these other things. Like you probably already have bylaws. I think you did. Your organization did, Pete. You didn't have to use our sample one, um, and you already had people who were regularly meeting together, so you had a roster put together as well, and that helped a lot. Some people are just launching and they need a little bit more assistance, and we can certainly help with that as well. Um, there also, um, sorry, lost my train of thought. Um, oh, a resolution. So we need to know that your members are on board with you wanting to be a chapter. So we get a resolution from your membership saying, yes, the majority recognizes that this is a good thing for your chapter and wants to be an ICC chapter. And then just sort of clerical stuff at that point, list of your officers, description of your geographic area that your membership covers, the small things like that are part of the application. And
Yeah.
once you do that, then I present the application to our board, and they discuss it and either approve it or disapprove it. And when they approve it, then you are a chapter.
Yeah. So the way we did it in Orange County was we felt there was a need for additional type of training. One of the things that when we reached out, you told us about the minimum number requirements. So we had every city in Orange County, with the exception of one, uh, that said, "Hey, we want to do this. Let's do this." We got together as a collaborative. We're like, "Okay, we're gonna all our staff's gonna be members." So we had 135 right off the bat. We went.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, you talk about bugging me. You were not bugging me. You were on the ball. All I had
So
to do was smile and nod.
yeah, so we did that, but there was a lot of discussion on what we actually wanted from our chapter. We did the bylaws. We did use the sample one, and we tweaked it a little bit
Okay.
because one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we wanted the leadership to have some actual leadership experience. So we put in our bylaws that you had to be part of that region, and also that you had to have some supervisory experience to serve on the executive board. And that was the two caveats that we did in Orange County, because we wanted to make sure, like, it's not a person that's been in code enforcement for 6 months making decisions on policy for our constituents. So, because when it comes to chapters, there's a lot of things that people have to consider: training, legislative endeavors. We want to support a bill, we want to oppose a bill, education, the type of training we want for our folks. There's code interpretation. There's so many different things that once you start establishing membership committees, marketing outreach, there's so much stuff that needs to get done in a chapter. With It's a lot of work. We're like, hey, let's sign up to do more work. But that's the way it rolls with being a volunteer.
Mhm.
And I think, and not only that, but participating in our communities, being stewards of our codes, and even next month with Building Safety Month, be participating in that and being part of it, because it's a national outreach for stuff in our profession. So
Mhm.
so when we got our yeah, we did get approved. We did you know for those that are really thinking about forming a chapter, you do need to have your officers kind of know who your officers are, because there's other steps that you have to do that ICC is not really part of, like having to open a bank account so you can manage your finances. For example, we had to get a DBA. We didn't have the experience to form a you know 501c6 right off the bat, which is it's important if we want to be tax exempt for certain things and get certain benefits. But also when you're collecting funds like sponsorship from vendors, and then hey, they're going to sponsor lunch or they're going to sponsor a training, you need to collect funds, so you need to have them go somewhere and have that your treasurer kind of record that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
it's very important. There's other steps that you have to do as a chapter leadership, having meetings, quarterly meetings, making sure your members are there. So, okay, well, so we ended up doing that. We went hard and heavy during our first couple months with our ICC chapter, and then COVID happened. And then we didn't have the technology for virtual. So, we kind of died, but now we're picking it back up and we're trying to get more involved. So, 2 years later.
Yeah, it was so heartbreaking to watch the chapter struggling, but it was also incredible to watch the chapter succeed in the midst of something that none of us have experienced before in our lifetimes. Even when you're as old as I am, you haven't experienced this type of pandemic, and everybody just sort of stepped back, took a deep breath, figured out what they could do, what they couldn't do, and I pretty much all the chapters have survived and thrived in the midst of all of this, and I've just been so impressed with what a group of volunteers who are passionate about their work can do. And I knew it, but certainly everything that's happened in the last 2 years have proved that.
Right, absolutely. That's that could actually be seen so much in everything that we've seen come through in the last 2 years from ICC. So even the committee action hearings, if you will, being able to provide a platform to do a hybrid option from being live and through a Zoom call, but still being able to participate, and then handling how the proponents were going to come in and testify and all that. I mean, just the immense amount of work that went into it, and I'm sure, Carla, that when we were at the start of the pandemic, and as we were going through 2020 and then even 2021. There was a lot of probably back and forth in meetings and planning and coming back to the drawing table. Okay, how are we going to do this thing? How are we going to continue to operate this thing, and be successful at it? One of the biggest things that I found super useful too, Carla, was the ease of CEUs being basically added into your portal for ICC. And I know that was an announcement that ICC made earlier in the year that now, as you take courses through the Learning Center, those CEUs are automatically uploaded for you.
Yes, that whole process gets easier and easier, and it was interesting how many things we sort of were just right on the precipice of when the lockdown occurred, and it just pushed us into overdrive. And one of those was, we were already doing so much with our assessment program virtually, and it just really kind of pushed us over the edge to make sure that everything worked well and did it quickly. We happened to have purchased several laptops right before the lockdown because we knew that some of our laptops were going to be getting old, and we just thought we'd buy them in bulk and then pass them out as needed throughout the year. So we had this cache of laptops. And when we realized there was going to be a lockdown and we were all going to have to leave the buildings, we just sort of threw a laptop at everyone and told them to go home. And I don't think we missed a day on the phones. It was crazy how quickly everybody just said, okay, I might be working from my kitchen table for a while, but I'm still working. And I was, and our executive staff, Dominic Sims and John Belsick and everyone, got us on to Zoom calls and said, okay, what can we just not do? What are we going to have to cancel? And what is too important to our membership for us to do that? And how are we going to be successful in those tasks? And everybody just did it. And our members did the same thing. I mean, you guys in your towns went through the same thing. What have we got to do every single day? What can we not let fail? And we just, we were juggling all those balls, and some of them were glass and some of them bounced, and we just had to make sure we didn't drop the glass ones.
Right, so, right. That's very cool. So, and the other thing to that is, Carla, when I was saying, you're a woman of many hats, you do a lot of things for the membership. A lot of what you do includes travel. You travel a lot. You go visit lots of chapters, right? And you connect with them and just kind of make sure that you're staying with your finger on the pulse of what they may need. How does that work out for you, being able to connect in your travels with other chapters?
Oh, traveling to my chapter meetings is just one of my favorite parts of my job. Whether it's driving to Opelika, Alabama for AAPGMI, our plumbing state plumbing chapter, which I did a few weeks ago. That was amazing, and just saw people I had not seen in so long, and it was great. Um, I was in Colorado in December, and that's always an incredible meeting, and they're just such incredible hosts. Uh, so that's fun. Hope to get over to my buddies in Mississippi either in June or either their June meeting or their December meeting of this year, and see them. That I haven't made it out there for a while. So, yeah, picking up the traveling is has been interesting, but I'm ready. And like I said, I'm empty nester. I just hand the dog to my husband and off I go, and that's great.
See
Yeah,
you in a few days, honey. I'll be back.
yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. So, a lot of what you do, we talked about assistance with chapters, putting together a chapter, getting that information, doing the whole walkthrough to ensure that, groups are getting everything done for their chapter creation, to the installation of the boards and things like that, to training and allotment of the $1,200 educational stipend for the chapter so that they can go ahead and use that, to preferred provider programs and certification trainings. There is so much that encompasses what you do. Um, is there something that perhaps we missed, that, let's say, if I came off the street and said, I need guidance, help
Mhm.
help me figure out this, construction profession, whether I'm going to land in building or plan review or fire or code, how do I get started? If I were to call you today and say, Carla, I need some guidance,
Yeah.
what would that look like?
Well, shameless plug. I would say first thing we need to do is make you a member.
Yeah.
Uh, that the membership is going to connect you. It's the center of this spider web that is all the benefits of being part of ICC, and it gives you the best prices on all of the things that you're going to need, whether it's books or training, or we've even got member prices on a lot of our exams now, which is a new benefit that we have. Certification renewals have member pricing, all of those things. So we want to get you the most bang for your buck, and that is membership. The top tier memberships, your professional, governmental, and corporate memberships, also get you complimentary digital subscriptions to the international codes. And if you want to upgrade it, where you have all the commentaries and everything, it gives you a huge discount on that. So there's all these incredible benefits that being a member get you. And a lot of people think when they join a chapter, they also join ICC. No, those are two different things. So we do not charge our chapters fees of any kind. So therefore, well, I say fee, but we do not charge them membership fees. If you want to be a preferred provider or whatever, there's extra. Um, but the other side of that is if you want to be a member of ICC, you do have to join. Um, but once you do that, then you get access to our website, all the parts of our website at iccsafe.org, including member resources like membership directory, all of those things that are just for the members. And then I would go to the Learning Center and I would look at the career path uh, graphics that they have there that show you how to get from I don't know how to be a building official to, or a code inspector, building inspector to, here I am a building inspector. And there's a great path there that shows you the different things that you need to do. Uh, I would say the other thing is call me. I I would love to get a show of hands from the people who are watching how many just say, have me call me and say, I'm not sure who to talk to, so I called you. And if you don't know the answer, you'll get me to the right person, and that's okay. That's what I get paid to do, and so that's something that I thoroughly enjoy doing. So
Yeah.
um, we can help with all of that. I would also say once you join, then also pick out one or more membership councils to join. I think Ben Bredmore was your last person that you interviewed, and he talked about how much the Emerging Leaders Membership Council got him to feeling like he was confident enough to run for the board. And so that's a great path of how to get involved, how to network with people who like the same parts of the international code that you like. It sort of breaks things down into sections so that you can network with people who have similar interests to you. Um, then also join your local chapter, and that way that closes that connection between people that you would see on a regular basis in your area and people that you can network with throughout the world. And it's literally throughout the world. There's also a global membership council if you want to join that. And there's not a limit to the number of councils that you can join. Um, th- then I would also look into uh, technical committees, Mike Pfeiffer's committees, uh, code action committees, the people who listen to the code hearings, listen to the code change proposals at the code hearings. Um, Nothing teaches you about the codes faster than sitting on one of those committees, man. We hear that all the time. It's you actually can earn CEUs by participating in the code process because you learn so much when you do that. So that's a great way to do that as well. And then once you kind of get your feet wet, then take some exams, get yourself certified, and add it to your resume. And that's going to be a stellar resume really, really quickly if you want to work for a local jurisdiction.
And Carla, one of the hats that you wear also is, we have a lot of volunteers at ICC, whether they're volunteering at a chapter, at a whatever they're volunteering in. Your one of your hats is, taking in some of these award
Hmm.
awards when we do the chapter of the year, chapter merit awards, the valor award, the code official of the year, fire service awards. So
Hmm.
you do all these things. Can you kind of, I know we're running out of time, but can you touch a little bit on the award process and also some of the scholarships that you help oversee, as far as what scholarships are out there for our code members?
Yeah, the awards deadline actually closed on Friday, but of course we do these every year. And the awards that are covered by the awards committee, I gather all that information, all the supporting documentation that you sent in, along with the application that everyone would have filled out online, and our awards committee. Gosh, they spend so much time going through all of this and making good choices for these really prestigious awards, and it's amazing the work that they do. Um, and so and chapters are perfectly welcome to look at those different awards and either select or support someone for one of the individual awards, for a community service award, for all of those things. As far as the scholarships go, we have scholarships for college students who are children of governmental member representatives. That is still open. If you need help finding it on our website, drop me an email, and I will. Um, Thanks, Cash. I will be glad to send you a link to where you can find those scholarships. It's a great way to help offset the cost of sending. I don't know about y'all. If someone had just handed me $10 on the street for my child's college education, I'd certainly be happy to get it. Um, and then we also have Code of Honor scholarships, and that helps get people to the public comment hearings. So we actually reimburse travel up to either $1,000 or $2,000, depending on the scholarship, helping you get to the public comment hearings and participate as a validated voter.
That's awesome. And that, I think for all of those that are listening, you want your shot to go out and participate. Like Carla said, I cannot stress enough as well. A lot of the times we hear, I don't agree with that code section, or I want to change that up. Well, this is your opportunity to get involved. This is your opportunity to have a voice, to be part of the code action hearings, to testify, to just get yourself involved in there and present. So take advantage of those resources that are there, because they're invaluable. One of the things that I've always found a great resource has been the website and even my portal with ICC, and having the ability to have a membership that I can access either through my own independent self or as a municipality, where I can have my staff take advantage of, membership, sales or whatever, membership opportunities to train, to buy books, to get prepared. And a lot of what we do is prepare, the next future leaders in our industry. And this is the way that we do it, is providing those avenues to be able to grant them the opportunities to prepare. One of the things, going back to what we talked about earlier about the fire event that we experienced in Santa Rosa, California, and what we're seeing in Colorado. Before then, we talked a lot about the WUI, right? Training on the WUI, making sure we understood what that meant, making sure that we were pushing out training, getting folks prepared on the inspection and plan review side, on the fire side, making sure that we were looking at different materials. But we never really tapped too much into those fires going inland into the cities. We were so focused on the rural areas of our municipalities that was kind of a plot twist for us in preparation of fire response. So what I did see, and I appreciated a lot last year, was ICC now has a disaster response certification, which is awesome. You go through that, it prepares you, and for a long time, ICC has put together a when disaster strikes training that is awesome for those of you that are very interested in doing that. Even if you don't experience natural disaster events in your community, it's still so awesome to be able to prepare yourself with that, because you could be used to go help other jurisdictions, other states. You'll be prepared to be able to do that and give back to those communities. And again, it all kind of ties back to that common denominator, which is the ability to access that training through ICC and being able to connect and being able to work with folks such as Carla, who are so busy just doing the work and doing the things. And that's why, going back to what I said earlier, Carla, you're like the glue, right? You're the piece of that puzzle that really glues everybody together, alongside other phenomenal ICC staff that are very awesome, that help us be better industry professionals. So I am personally thankful for that. So
well, I'm thankful for you guys. If it weren't for y'all, I wouldn't have a job, and I certainly wouldn't have a job that I love as much as I do this one. So it's knowing that you are helping people who help change the world and make the world safer. I know it sounds corny, but I really do mean it. It means a lot.
Thank you.
So you had a LinkedIn user. Somehow some users don't show up. But you did have a comment that somebody thanked you for all the help that you do for chapter memberships or ICC. Me personally, I can say thank you as well. And and being in the ICC chapter and being in the leadership, you'll start discovering how small the world is.
Yeah.
I've met Carla probably twice in person in my whole life, and for a few minutes, but I felt like I've known her all my life. Because why? Because I call her, I email her, I do this, and today she's on our show. We get to learn a little bit more about Carla, which is awesome. We get to learn about the role she plays, the important role she plays at ICC, because it's an important role. And you know what? Having people who like helping people in that position, it's awesome. So thank you, Carla, for everything that you do, for myself, for my chapter, and for the membership in general. Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me here. It was very pleasant. I was nervous, but it was y'all make it easy. Thank you.
See, it's all good. We did a whole hour almost. Look at that. Look, so we're almost out of time. Let me see. Oh, comment, Carla, and let me see. That was from David Spencer. There you
Uh,
go.
Oh, very awesome.
Yeah,
David's also very awesome.
David
yeah,
is.
I got all my kudos for the week. I'm going to run a copy of this and tape it to my wall. So this is great.
Well, this will be on our website on the code enforcement education
Hmm.
.com. And normally we put these out there for anybody that wants to know more about ICC, about our ICC board, about different topics in code enforcement. So that's why we bring people out here, because it's important for, our viewers to know what's going on in the industry, because, maybe somebody didn't know, like, hey, I could form a chapter, or somebody doesn't know, like, hey, there's scholarships out there,
Yep.
because these are things that folks, with ICC memberships need to know. Like, hey, you know what? There's a reason why we get that extended warranty sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And anyone who needs details on any of these things we've talked about today, please reach out, and I will happily talk with you or email you or whatever you like.
Yeah, so I did put a link out there. So if anybody wants to look at it, it's the membership chapter and chapter benefits. If you want to know more, if you're not taking advantage of your memberships, you should. It's there's a lot of them out there. I attended the last year's Leadership Academy virtually. It was awesome. I can't wait to go to Colorado. Anytime I can get out there, the weather is beautiful,
Hmm.
scenery is beautiful. I love it. I can walk in, smell that fresh, cold air. So, but with that, I really appreciate your time, Carla. Me and Ceci really enjoyed our conversation, and that's thank you for coming on, and we will see everybody next week.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you,
Cool.
guys.
Thank you, everybody.
All
Have
right.
a great day.